what's going on, guys? This is Keck back here with another Animal Jam Classic video, and in today's video, guys, we're going to be talking a bit about Animal Jam Classic and the future updates potentially coming to the game in the near future. So before I do get into that though, I want to talk about a Black Hedgehogs giveaway I have going on right now, which all you need to do to enter this giveaway is like the video, subscribe to my channel when notifications are on, and then drop a comment down below leaving what you thought of the video along with your username. Or you could potentially go to the video link in the description below and enter in the comment section there. But like I said, we'll get into the video now. So like I said, potential future updates coming to Animal Jam Classic. Now you're probably thinking, what are you even talking about? Animal Jam Classic hasn't gotten a proper update in years now. So a lot of this information does come from an interview Clark Stacy, the CEO of Animal Jam, recently did with a Jam ambassador, Delicate AJ. I will leave that linked in the description below. All credit goes to her for this. But yeah, pretty much a lot of the key points in the interview here brought towards a lot of information about Animal Jam Classic, thankfully, because Delicate did ask him about it, and he did give a lot of information out on it. So I do want to just take out some key points I think here are important for everybody to know, and a hope for this game, Animal Jam Classic, which a lot of people have considered it to be, you know, quite dead now because of the lack of updates it's gotten in the recent years, and the amount of people that are leaving the game for various reasons. One of them being partially the lack of updates, some being security flaws with people getting hacked all the time, all that kind of thing. But we'll just get into you know, some key points here. So at the start of the interview here, he talked about why Flash was removed. Now I've talked about this in some videos, and even when it was initially removed from Animal Jam, I guess technically it wasn't removed from Animal Jam, but it was just taken off the web version and moved on to a app version like we know now, and I'll explain why that is. So the reasons why Flash was even shut down in the first place is because it had a lot of security issues and vulnerabilities to it, which we'll also talk about later in the video. But it was also incredibly outdated when it comes to adding things to any kind of game that ran on Flash, which was a big issue for Animal Jam Classic. Now Animal Jam was actually in the discussion of being rewritten or moved over to a different game engine, that being HTML5 or even WebGL, which Clark did say in the interview, but they didn't end up doing so. And that was even years prior, before Flash actually shut down, because if you don't know already, when Flash was announced to be shutting down, it was like 2-3 years ahead of time. So it did suck to see that they didn't put more of an initiative there, I guess, to actually move it over. But it is a very complex thing to do. I definitely don't think it's a one-man job anyway, and that's, you know, a big reason why they didn't get it moved over to there. The next point would be why Animal Jam Classic specifically is no longer update. So pretty much he says in the interview here, it's ran on Electron, so it's difficult and almost impossible sometimes to actually make updates for the game, and doing so would be a lot of labor. So it would require a lot of people working on the game, and it would take a very long time as well. So it would be extremely complex, very time heavy, and then also very financially heavy for them. So in the long run of things, would it be worth for them? Probably not, considering it probably wouldn't make back their money immediately if they were to dump it in trying to do so and trying to make it work. And speaking of complexity, as I said prior, moving it over to a new game engine, it's going to take some time. It's not going to come around anytime soon. He did say potentially within the next year or in the next year, so we're gonna have to wait and see for that. And he also talks about how long taking new animals and animations are hard, so pretty much how they actually have to make a new animal. If they want to make a new animal in the game, they have to fully model the animal, fully work it. I'm talking animations like the dance actions, you know, sitting actions, all this. These are completely 3D models from what I know. They're styled in 3D and then obviously converted to 2D or whatever, and they're given the impression that, you know, it's a 3D look to them, obviously. But not only do they have to do that, they have to work every single item in the game onto the animal. So they can't just drag and drop it. They have to manually go into the animal and make sure how the item looks on the animal. And that's why, you know, a few years ago when they were releasing animals at a steady rate, there would be the occasional item where it would just not show up on the animal, or it wouldn't even be working properly, like the texture of the item might be messed up a bit, stuff like that, which, as I said, it happened a lot a couple years ago. So they would have to do that every single time they were releasing new animals, and if they were releasing new animals along with new items, it can get pretty messy pretty quickly. And then also, not even just, you know, a static version of putting the items on, they also have to make sure it looks fine when your animal is moving. So as you can see here, I'm wearing this ice tail here, which probably took someone a good couple hours to work on this fox here, considering it's still animated and it's still running with the fox as well. You know, the little things you don't really notice until, you know, they actually talk about it fully. So as I said, it's very complex, but But Clark did discuss that Almajam is potentially partnering with presumably another company to help them venture out onto this route here of, you know, moving Almajam over to a new game engine so they can consistently put updates out on Almajam so they can get that going again, and then also release, you know, new animals and new features, new mini games, all that kind of thing. You know, the things we used to get pretty consistently when Flash was still supported everywhere but isn't anymore. He also talked a little bit about some ideas they actually did have before, you know, they started running into the issues of it being harder for them to actually update the game, because when Almajam was on web browser, it was very easy for them to do so because Flash pretty much supported everywhere. But since they ported it over to a desktop app, that's when it started to become a lot more complex. But he did talk about some ideas they had, like, so he talked about expanding the player card. I don't really know what that kind of entails, but if I were to imagine, it probably might be something like they have for player cards on Almajam Play Wild, where you can see all the items a person is wearing, and maybe even potentially a wish list on the player card. So for items you know, a person is wishing for, you can do that on Play Wild. So I imagine they probably would have incorporated that with Almajam Classic. Same thing with the trading system. I imagine it probably would have ventured on out to something similar to the Almajam Play Wild trading system, where, you know, you can open a whole window and like have a private chat system to talk out a trade and add more than 20 items to the trade. I know for Play Wild you can add up to 24, but I imagine they probably would have pushed that limit along with that. But to be honest, if they were to, you know, incorporate Play Wild's trading system onto Almajam Classic, I would like the option to, you know, have just simple trade attempts like we usually do now, and then also the other kind of system Play Wild has where you can opt to you know, open a whole chat message and have a conversation there. But this does you know, actually remind me a lot of the time when they were releasing new animals, a lot of the time a couple years ago, they usually did them simultaneously with Almajam and Almajam Classic, where, you know, if an Almajam was released on Almajam Play Wild, it would also be released on Classic. You know, usually Classic getting the animal first and then later on Play Wild. You know, it started to slow down and Play Wild started to, you know, get the animals first, and sometimes, which is now normal, get animals that weren't even on Almajam Classic and were completely exclusive to that game. So it does suck that, you know, we don't really get those new animals, but obviously we've talked about why that is, and it was going to happen eventually, unfortunately. But it is good that they're talking about it and, you know, actually fixing it and going to be working on it anyway. Then they also talked about why Almajam isn't shutting down, because that is a question a lot of people have, and a lot of, you know, pretty much misinformation a lot of people do spread. You know, they say Almajam is going to shut down. It's probably not, and if, you know, we never even get any of these updates because they never partner with another company or they never work on trying to improve this game, Almajam Classic still has a pretty long life ahead of it. Probably not going to be the most popular game if it's going to continue on the route it is now, but it still has a pretty long life ahead of it, considering it pretty much financially supports itself. There's a lot of people still paying for memberships and even diamonds or gems on this game, so they have a pretty consistent revenue inflow that, you know, supports this game, and they don't really have to worry about anything then. Yeah, I know the updates are kind of tacky with, you know, recolors after recolors, which, and like re-releases after re-releases. Some of these recolors are actually cool in my opinion, but, you know, they're cool every once in a while, but like once it gets to the point where it's just every update, you know, it's not really cool anymore. And I feel like that was the kind of general consensus of the community back then anyway. But yeah, we've already pretty much talked about that anyway. And then finally, the security flaws they kind of had with Almajam Classic anyway. That had to do with Flash vulnerabilities, and it was kind of out of their control. You know, they faced a pretty big hack of last year. I'm pretty sure it was around August, if you guys remember that, where people got hacked. They couldn't do a single thing about it. They pretty much had to sit there and watch their accounts get completely taken from their dashboard. It was like every account was getting stolen, and, you know, a lot of people were targeted in that hack when it initially happened. And, you know, it does suck, but it's understandable. And, you know, at least when these kind of hacks happened, they did actually, you know, try their best to patch it immediately and then also revert any of the kind of damage that was done. So for example, when the August hack happened, they reverted any of the damage and, you know, returned all of the people's items, and then I'm pretty sure they also gave them, you know, membership as a kind of a sorry thing, or just like made sure the kind of days of membership they missed for their accounts being taken was actually restored. So for example. That's, you know, something not a lot of games would do anyway. So it was cool to see that happen anyway. But that was pretty much everything in the interview. This was a part 1 of the interview. So I don't know if there's going to be another part on the way. I presume so, considering it's a part 1. But I don't know what's going to be discussed in the part 2. I imagine it's going to be focusing on Play Wild, considering this one was mainly on Alma Jam Classic. So, you know, that will be something to look forward to as well. And if there's any information that I think is pretty big and worthy, I'll make sure to drop a video on it as well. So make sure to subscribe with notifications on if you guys want to keep up to date on videos and want to see more videos just like this one. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy today's video, and let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. I want to hear what you guys think on all of this. Let me know in the comments. Let's have a discussion about this, and I will catch you guys in the next one.